Hi, I'm Stefan, the BMW DIY guy, and do you want to improve the intake in your BMW X4? I'll show you how. All right, y'all, so let's talk about this project and the reasons why you're going to want to do this yourself. Now, one of the most common things we do in upgrades on our BMWs is that we upgrade the OEM intake to an upgraded cold air intake from MAD in this case. You can get a washable filter, you get a little bit more intake noise, and it's really a great way to make some improvements in your car. Now, this install is really straightforward, it's not really hard. I'll walk you through all of the process in it, and don't forget, everything you need will be listed in the video description below. All right, so let's pop the hood, let's get started. All right, y'all, so one of the very first things we're gonna do is take this brace off. We have to get a flange underneath this anyway, so you might as well take it off. And getting the airbox out without removing this is a bit of a pain. So this is a 16 millimeter on this side, and then in the back is a 16 or an E16 reverse Torx. So go ahead and just take these out. We'll take the brace out, and then we're gonna take the box out. I'm gonna show you the steps along the way, but it's really straightforward. All right, so now that that's off, next up, we're going to take the airbox and then the lower intake pipe out separately. Now, the B58 has this secondary chamber here that kind of ties it all together, and this is secured to your airbox with a T20 screw right here. So you'll want to take that T20 out right here. You're going to want to unplug your MAF sensor, this little white tab right here. You pull the little tab out, press down, and this plug will come off. And then there's a hose clamp right here, and you can either use, it's like a 6 or 7 millimeter socket, or just use a flat screwdriver. Loosen up this hose clamp. With that screw out and this unplugged and that loose, you should be able to pull up on the airbox and pull the airbox out by itself. So go ahead and get that out next. All right, so with the intake box off, we can now see all the way down to the bottom where the hose clamp for the rest of the intake pipe here is shielded by the intake box, so we wouldn't be able to see it. So you can get a very small flat screwdriver, or like I said, it's either a 6 or 7 millimeter. I'll have that confirmed for you in just a second. But go ahead and back that off, and then you can take this out. This box is also on little feet right there, so you'll pull up, and then this piece will be out. All right, so here's what it looks like with that intake boot out. And just tuck the MAF cable up and out of the way so it stays out of the way here. So one thing that can happen, these rubber boots can stick down really, really hard. So what I ended up doing, it was loosening the hose clamp almost up entirely, so I could kind of walked it up the boot a little bit, but still this rubber boot was stuck down super, super hard. You can take a pick tool from the bottom side, right angle pick tool, get underneath the boot and kind of slide that right angle around both sides to break the adherence of the rubber to this plastic. Because, I mean, it was stuck on so hard that, I mean, you can see the intake boot will move a little, or the intake elbow here will move a little bit, and you don't want to crank on that too much or break the plastic or anything else like that. So make sure that you kind of break that seal that you get all the way around, and then it'll come up and out. Okay, so now let's take a look at the new pieces and how we're going to put this all back together. All right, so I haven't positioned the hose clamps in the right place yet, but you'll see on this expansion flexible joint, there's a larger side and a smaller side. The smaller side's going to go onto the pipe. The pipe's basically going to go down in this position, like this, down onto the pipe. And I'll give you a better camera angle in just a second. Actually, I'll just slide it into place. So what you want to do is just get that all slid into place like that. As you can see, I've just got it kind of loose fit right now. You know, it's going to fit in here like this on top of this. You're going to want to have your hose clamps in a place where you can get to them nice and easily. You can also see where the MAF sensor is going to swap into the new pipe right here. So you just get a sense of the proportions of how it's all going to fit. All right, so go ahead and take the flexible coupler back off, and we're going to secure it to the bottom of the intake first. And position our hose clamp in a place where we can get to it really easily. All right, so as we look at the intake boot here has a bit of an angle to it, right? It kind of curves a little bit, and you want it to curve upwards. So in this case, it's taking the curve of this lower pipe and kind of creating an angle that curves up. If you turn it 180 degrees, it'll curve downward, which will put the new intake pipe in the wrong angle. So you just want to make sure that it's curved, that curve is curved upwards. I've pressed it down here to the plastic ridge on the OEM pipe, and then obviously you can take your worm drive and put that on. Just make sure to get it into a place where you can easily get to the worm drive here to get that into place. Get it down and nice and secure across the bottom, and go ahead and tighten that down at this point because it's going to be difficult to get to in a moment. So get this all placed curved up, get this down into the proper location here. And then we're going to transfer the MAF sensor to the new pipe and start putting the new pieces in. All right, so let's transfer the existing MAF sensor. So you've got two T20s right here. We're not going to reuse these screws, but I usually just put them back into the intake body itself, just so I don't lose them. But go ahead and back those out. Be careful with your MAF sensor. They can be a little bit fragile, so don't drop it. Just be really careful with this. We're going to take it and we're going to transfer it to the new pipe. And it has its own metal screws that will go in. So go ahead and transfer it into the correct position. And in general, MAF sensors only go in one way, so you don't have to worry about that too much. So go ahead and get that transferred. All right, so the MAF sensor's transferred, and I've slid the hose clamp here onto the boot. It's loose fit right now. We'll have to adjust it and tighten it down in a second. So when you look at the pipe, it's going to go in this angle like this, kind of tipped upwards to come in through the heat shield like that. So what we're going to want to do is, there's a couple of pieces on the heat shield we need to install. I'll show you what that looks like. We'll get those installed, and then we'll slide this heat shield into place. It'll all settle down in here. The pipe will come through it. And then again, you want to position that hose clamp here to a place where you're going to be able to get to it once all these pieces are in place. All right, so go ahead and get caught up right there. You can loose fit your pipe for now, and let's get the little armatures onto the heat shield. All right, y'all, so if you have any background noise today, forgive me, it's a busy day in my neighborhood. So there's a bunch of rubber gaskets that come along. There's a big long one that you're gonna put on the lid, goes all the way around. The shorter, bigger one goes on this edge, and then the smaller gauge one that goes all the way around this bottom edge and up around the corner. And this is how this is going to fit in. You also see I put the armature on. It has this little plug that's going to go into the grommet right here. This goes in from the inside. You've got these two little bolts that come through this side and the big bolt here. So go ahead and tighten all those down. You can test fit this in place. This flange is going to go underneath your brace bolt right here. You can see how it fits in right here. And I'll give you a little bit better camera angle here in a second. But you'll see how this all fits down into place like this with a rough fit right now. You can see it's going to fit up here with this flange here. This is going to go up into the rubber boot right here. So we should be good to go. And we'll get this all set in. So what you're going to want to do now is go ahead and take your intake pipe, fit it down into the boot, fit it in through your shield, and then just rough fit your shield into place. And then we're going to get all the rest to settle in. All right, so the heat shield is in place. I actually put this the bolt back in just to help hold this flange on, to help keep the heat shield straight. Obviously, we'll move that here in a second as we put it all back together. Also, this post is on a slide. I always keep it a little bit loose so you can slide this to fit the space better and for it to fit the cover better here in a second, right? So I always keep that a little bit loose until it's good to go. With the pipe, I haven't tightened down the hose clamp yet, but it's in a good position. I've got it set in the right place, and you can tighten that down. I've also plugged the MAF sensor back in just while I'm thinking about it. And then you can take your filter, and you're just going to slide this in. Make sure you've got the hose clamp pre-positioned. Slide that into place. We're going to get it around the edge of the arm right there, and then you can tighten that down. So at that point, you can tighten down your hose clamp here on the intake pipe, tighten down the hose clamp here on your filter itself, and make sure that everything is all nice and square, and we can look to put the cover on next. Cover on, make sure everything is secured down really nicely. You've got your worm drives tight on both sides, your air filters in place, and then you're just going to slide. You're going to put the cover in with the supplied bolts. They're 2.5 millimeter Allens again, just like the ones on the MAF sensor were. So basically, what you're going to want to do, because this is a little bit flexible, which is why, like I said, I keep this post just a little bit loose so this frame will move. What I will usually do is I'll put the lead screw in here and then just kind of pivot the cover to get it to line up with the other holes. And it kind of flexes this whole metal into the right position to get that into place. I still have my bolt up here to hold the frame in the correct orientation. So that will help. So go ahead and put the cover on and then we'll put your brace back on and you're just about done. All right, guys, so the cover's on. This is all good to go. So go ahead and secure down all those with that 2.5 millimeter Allen. And then you go ahead and put your brace back on. That 15 millimeter bolt goes here. The E15 reverse Torx goes here. Get that all set, and you're all good. I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. All right, you also go ahead and just do one last final check. Make sure your MAF sensor's plugged in. Everything is tight for your worm drives. Cover's on. Your brace is on. Other than that, you're all done. Go ahead and fire the car up and test, and you should be good to go. All right, guys, forgive the background noise. Like I said, busy weekend here around my neighborhood. So obviously a really easy install, really straightforward, and is going to make a difference in your car. So thank you to Matt for making such a fantastic product that's so easy to install, and definitely check this out for your car. This works on any B58 motor, so not just an X4. That was just our example car today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please make sure to click like and subscribe. It makes a genuine difference to my channel, and I would truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on my next video.